Before we begin, two messages. What mobile platform do companies like eBay, NBC Universal, the Los Angeles Times, Razorfish, and PayPal use to build their cross-platform native applications? Titanium by Appcelerator. They aren't alone. There are now over 25,000 apps deployed by Appcelerator, which has been called the Rosetta Stone of app development. And you can start now for free. Just go to www.appcelerator.com for more information. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello everybody and welcome to Untether.tv. My name is Rob Woodbridge, your host. I also founded this little thing called Untether.tv, and welcome to another episode. This is where we get together with a mobile entrepreneur that is paving the way, changing the way that we are doing business in the real world because of mobile. And it's always so much fun to get these little stories out and get your input and feedback. So I really appreciate it if you could feed some this way. Today, Canadian company. You know, I wear my flag very, very proudly, and this is a Toronto company. It's a company called Shopcatch, and I just want to give you a little bit of background. This is a deal aggregator of sorts that really focuses on driving you as a consumer into a retail establishment. There's a few differentiators here from a lot of the other products, and we're going to get into that. But really clearly, this is one of those things that every one of us is going to use at some point in our existence when we're looking for deals, when we're out there shopping. And I'm really proud to say that this is a Canadian company just around the corner in Toronto from me. And with me today is Candice Faktor, who's the creator of Shopcatch. And I'll bring her in and say, Candice, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you, Rob.
Well, there's certainly a lot to talk about today because I think that there's a lot of activity around this space just simply because of the fact that there seems to be this kind of unease or malaise around the economy, which usually leads to much more coupon clipping, and all of a sudden deals are cool, and they've been cool for a couple of years now. But I'm really intrigued to talk about how you guys differ from a bunch of the competitors. But we got to start at the very beginning.
All right.
We got to start there, which is, let's talk about Shopcatch. Let's talk about how this was created. It's a relatively new company, but let's talk about where you are actually sitting in. You're in the middle of Torstar. So how did all this happen?
All right. So let's, step back in time a little
exactly.
bit.
Yes.
Exactly. So here we are, I guess, late last year, early this year, and what we realized is, my role at Torstar Digital is really to look at new things. So to really focus on what are these emerging spaces and how do we enter them. We have an incubator and strategic investment or acquisition arm, and that's what I do here. And so we were looking at mobile, and we really felt that 2011, year of mobile, finally, right?
For the 10th year in a row, here it is.
Talking about this, and what we started thinking about was, what are the right businesses for mobile? And talk about deals. We have a very large group buying business called WagJag. But what we said is, what's so interesting for mobile is how it's changing the way people shop. And really, for me, that was much more than just the little mom and pop restaurant and buying a deal off of a group buying site. It was, there's actually this really big market of retailers and this huge consumer base of shoppers. And there were a couple things that we just knew, right? One, consumers love to shop. Two, most consumers today have this thing called a smartphone. And we realized, people want to find deal information all the time. Like, people love it. It's like candy to a shopper, right? Like knowing that Banana Republic is on sale right now, only for this day. Like, people get very excited about that, and they get very angry or sad if they miss a deal. And so we started thinking in the context of, Torstar's businesses, which we have a very big circular or flyer business. I call it different things in Canada versus the US. And we started thinking about how that business is really going to change in the future, especially with mobile. And for me, it was just so evident that you're not going to take a PDF of this flyer and like put it on your mobile phone or the web. But that really is a big thing that a retailer wants, is how do I drive traffic into a store with when I'm targeting a younger consumer who is not sitting at their home waiting for a flyer. So just going back to the consumer piece, I realized, when I looked for deal information, there just wasn't one place to go where I could easily find what's on sale, where I am, and when I'm ready to shop. And so we thought, you know what, let's make a very clear, focused product on big brand retail. This is about Toys R Us and Banana Republic and The Gap and Walmart and all the big retailers, and make it a really simple experience that shows you on a map view and a list view what's on sale, what you're able to see in a mall, what's on sale, or just the closest ones to you, and to really aggregate three things. So publicly available deals, coupons, and then the thing that we love to do are exclusive Shopcatch offers for consumers. And that's sort of the long version of how this came to be. And we said, hey, let's do it. I mean, the interesting thing is we just didn't find an entrepreneur out there that we thought we should invest in or acquire their company. Just that the solution didn't exist yet. And we said, hey, let's create it and see what happens.
What do you think out there? What do you think was missing? Like when you surveyed this, was it because you were honed in on, listen, all we want to do is this one thing, and everybody seems to be doing 10 things in their app? Or was it just that nobody was attacking this market the right way? What was missing out there?
Yeah, I think if you look at who's out there, there's very few people who are focused on big brand retail deals. Right. I mean, you have Shopkick, but it's not about the deals. It's a gaming or reward system for when people are in stores. And we said, look, they're solving one interesting problem, but there's another big problem, which is how do you drive people into stores? And how do you make it really simple for the retailer, right? Like, I've seen everything from very complicated commerce solutions, but to get a retailer to change their POS behavior and consumers isn't that easy, right? There's a reason you haven't seen a lot of that. And so we didn't see anything like that. And then there were some smaller coupon aggregators or plays, but they weren't really focused on the retail segment, and we didn't like the experience. We thought we could do it better ourselves.
But you hit on a really key point there, which is, I think that we saw this a lot of this behavior over the last 10 years, which was here's a solution, modify your process to fit our solution, right? It's even how Walmart does their their supply chain. If you want in our supply chain, you who are producing the product over there, you have to conform to what we want, and they have the clout to be able to do that. Right. Because there's a huge value in being on their shelves. But when you go to we see a lot of companies out there that are saying, listen, we'll take your coupon, but you have to go on here and you have to fill this out and you have to upload here and you have to geofence this and you have to install a piece of hardware over here. And then, in 90 days and $200,000 later, we are ready to go. We're ready to give away your product at a discount. Yeah.
Right? Ours was the complete opposite of that.
That was conscious, though, right?
They were very, very conscious, right? We said, you know what, we'll do it all for you. Yeah. And we actually, we have a deal curator who puts on a bunch of really key retail deals for the consumer. And we wanted to focus on what does the consumer want, and then create some really good opportunities to drive and increase traffic for the retailer. But we said, no creative required to the retailer. We will take your deal for you. You can give us an exclusive deal or some of your existing deals. You can pay us on a performance basis for people who see the deals. What we also realized is that we needed scale. So we have, Shopcatch to retailers is both a mobile app, website, and an ad network where we actually run their deals across an ad network, which is, been really valuable for the retailer. And we just said we want to make this easy for the retailer and equally as easy for the consumer, which is I'm not asking for users to send me deals. It's like we have somebody and we have a team of people who actually across Canada, so we have 96 malls across Canada, over 145 retailers where you get all the deals in one place. Really easy solution.
I mean, it just complexity kills these things, right? Like we've heard this forever, and the simplicity of the mobile device sometimes doesn't necessarily mean that it translates into simplicity and actually getting your product on that mobile device. I love the idea here that you're taking existing deals and just amplifying those deals. And you said something that was really interesting: an ad network. Now, this is one of these things that is very unique with you guys. Oftentimes, you're going to leverage somebody else's ad network, but you said, listen, we're aggregating all these deals, these coupons, and these discounts and whatever. You've got them, so why wouldn't you create an ad network? It just seems like a logical step. How unique is that in this market?
I think it's pretty unique because we've got the scale and the really rich experience. And so the results that we've seen are tremendous. In our mobile app for some of our retail partners, our click-through rate from the app to a deal is actually 47%, which is
47%.
47%. And I think that talks about the context, right? It's like if you're opening up this app and you see a store, French Connection, or here's the Gap, 25% off clothes for kids and baby. People are clicking on that because they really want that. They want that information. They want to be able to actually use it. Yeah. And on our mobile ad network, the click-through rates are also incredibly good. We saw 0.47% click-through rate on our mobile ad network, which is out of context. Yeah. But again, we know that that's what people are looking for.
I mean, because you're under the umbrella of Torstar. Do you how much, if any, of Torstar properties do you leverage in order to be able to? Because that's a big broadcast voice, not only in the print but in the digital side.
Yeah, no, Torstar has been amazing to Shopcatch. We've absolutely had the chance to leverage both the media assets of Torstar as well as some of the sales relationships. Some of the just other businesses that are in similar spaces, knowledge sharing, etc. Yeah. So I would say, we've leveraged it a lot, but it is definitely a very separate entity and is very much a startup. So it's a very small team that's very focused on doing something that's disruptive.
I love it. I had to ask that because the ad network is such a unique piece to this, right? That if you're aggregating those deals, set them free, right? Yeah. Get them out so that they're not just reliant on the one app in order to be able to succeed.
Our retail partners have loved that. They've really responded well, for sure.
Well, so now I guess the big thing is about, especially for retail, is driving people to their stores. Is one way or another getting in front of them to do it. So, I'm on what seems like a daily email list for Banana Republic and The Gap and Old Navy and all these. Like they say, hey, 40% off from 12 to 3 today. Go. So they're amplifying, but obviously they have to do it in they not only catch you at your desktop, they catch you when you're in transit or at work or something like that. When you look around and you say, have you been able to successly drive people to the store through this?
It's one of the most fulfilling parts I think about this role is like getting those, if it's on our Facebook page or Twitter mentions or just like direct email, like, thank you so much for letting me know about that sale, right? Because even for people, if it's on their email, like not everybody checks their email on this device, right? And so, when The Gap has a 30% off sale just for today, we do a push notification to all of our Shopcatch users and an email blast saying, hey, don't miss this sale, like breaking news category for shoppers, right? And the number of people, that actually go in store and purchase is amazing, right? Like we just really believe that the future of shopping and the retail consumer relationship is with this mobile device. And push notifications are a very big part of our product. We have location-aware push notifications. You can also follow your favorite retailers and like just get their notifications. So it's constantly evolving, but that's exactly what this is for. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to be signed up to 17 or 25 different emails.
True.
And get those deals. They want one source.
How do you, trust me. I've spent a week pretty much unsubscribing to a bunch of stuff. If I could get that aggregated in one way, it would be much better. How do you judge or how do you gauge the redemption rate or your success for driving people in there?
Yeah, for sure. So it depends on what what product it is that the retailer is using for us. So, right now we have actually pretty sophisticated analytics for our platform. If it's publicly available deals,
Yep.
Depending on if it's a deal, it's harder to engage redemption, but we certainly can engage click-through rates and even some location information and social information. If it's a coupon, which we actually have a lot of, we can actually have a redemption piece. And if it's an exclusive offer, we can do amazing analytics of like where they are, and how they're redeeming at the cash. So we have a suite of products. It just is up to the retailer what's important to them. Is it the measurement? Is it the ease? Is it the distribution? So constantly evolving on that front.
Because one of the biggest things about mobile is that because it's such a personal device, it's a go everywhere device. It's also one of the easiest for a return on investment piece, right? So
yes.
Ultimately, the great thing about what you're doing, aside from helping get shoppers into retailer locations and reinventing the flyer, which we're about to talk about. The other thing that you're doing is you're collecting an incredible amount of data, consumer data.
Yes.
And what do you do with, I know people are always, whenever I ask this question, people are saying, well, Rob, of course, the first thing we do is it's private, it's anonymous, and we know all that. If you're not doing that, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Sure.
So it's private data, but do you pick up early trends? Do you pick up, do you come back to, say, The Gap or Banana Republic or some of your customers and say, listen, you know what? That 20% discount, didn't push the needle, but a 25% at 2:00 in the afternoon. Like, are you getting into baseball stats kind of at this level?
Look, I think that's our ultimate vision. We're really early, right? We're really early on in our path to that, I would say. But absolutely, a big piece for us is we have amazing data. We know where people are. We know what categories they're interested in. We know what kinds of stores they're clicking on and what kinds of offers they're clicking on. And now through a new great analytics tool that we got some really good social and demographic data from our customers. So we do believe ultimately there is a huge data piece of it. We need some scale against that, but that's definitely the direction we want to go in. We know we've heard from retailers that's important to them.
Sure.
But instead of trying to perfect that before we actually get started, we wanted to make it really easy. I feel like Shopcatch is pressing the easy button and the save button, we keep joking about that. But it is, for consumers, it's like, make it easy. For retailers, make it easy.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I'm a big, mobile commerce, mobile payment junkie. I watch this industry, and I think anytime when you have to change your behavior on a consumer or a retailer, you're going to lose that battle. There's too much friction. So the idea of what you guys are doing, listen, start. Get them engaged. Yeah. Show them some value, and then what you're going to consistently show them value. They're going to consistently use you for this service.
And the one stat that is like the proudest stat we have, I would say, is the one that I'm like, we must be doing something right. Is 75% of our users come back every week. Yeah. So this is a product that's really useful, and people build a habit out of it. And I think anytime you're starting to change people's behavior, it's like when I'm going to go shopping, the first thing I'm going to do is actually check out Shopcatch, because it's going to show me, just in case there was a 20% off sale, at Club Monaco, I don't want to miss that, right? And that's really powerful. So just that stat alone is the one thing that and just talking to our users, this is about a new habit forming activity. Well,
it is, and if it worked the first time, if I actually got a discount the first time and it was appropriate, and I got the product that I wanted at a reduced rate, you're always going to go back to that product. It's going to be like that. So talk about this. When you're out there, this is a relatively new product. You said that you kind of soft launched in July, beta launched, and then you actually launched back to school in the summer, late summer in August. How are you getting awareness of this product out? How are you finding new customers, new retailers? Is it pick up the phone for the retailers, and is it just kind of social and a little bit of advertising for awareness making?
Sure. So maybe I'll talk about the retailers and the consumers separately. So let's talk about the retailers. I think that's one of the assets we have at Tourstars. We have some really good relationships with retailers, so it's definitely helped us.
Yes.
And it's a combo of, going in with some relationships that we have through some of our different businesses, as well as we have an amazing amazing salesperson who literally is cold calling too. I think the one thing about Canada is retailers just aren't don't have as big an experimental mobile budget as the US. I'm very happy to say we will be launching across North America. So our main strategy is both cold calling and using some of the assets we have in relationships. On the consumer side, we've really done a lot of grassroots stuff. Like, even though Torstar, we're a new venture in Torstar, we by no means have very large budgets. It's on a dime, like a startup is a startup, and we're treated that way. So we've done a really interesting combo. I think PR has been a huge help for us, and really unpaid PR, right? So everything from, we were the top shopping app in Canada for a long time on the Apple Store. We were Flow93 called us the best shopping app ever, and we got like thousands of downloads. Tomorrow, I think we're on something called the Marilyn Dennis Show here, which is a very big show, and we're being listed as one of the best, holiday shopping tools. So I think all that stuff is like the best kind of marketing you can do. How do you do it is you need to have a good product, and you need to use social media and PR really effectively. So I think we've done a good job in that area. We've done a little bit of experiential marketing in high shopping areas, very grassroots. We had something called the Shopcatch mobile boutique, where you took a picture of yourself in a Shopcatch like frame and sent it to your social networks and got people to download the apps that way. We had a really great shopping vacation contest that we scrambled together and really got some of our media assets to promote, as well as experiential. And then, I think our creative campaign, like really simple idea, but really hit the emotion of it, was we had a woman on a mall bench bawling her eyes out, like really, really upset. And it was basically like, I should have used Shopcatch. If only I had known about Shopcatch, I would have saved all this money. And I think that just really spoke to the hearts of all those passionate shoppers. So
I love it.
That's, some of the stuff. We don't have big budgets, so we're constantly just trying to get influencers and get people who love our app to talk about it.
How important is that? The creative nature of your ads in order to stand out, right? Like, because you have, it's the same story that I hear quite often, is that, listen, these are all experimental, right? Until it catches, it's an experiment. So, how important is it to be so nimble when it comes to your message and exploring these new channels? It's pretty important, wouldn't it be?
Oh, it's huge, right? I think marketing really is today a real mix of science and art. Like never before has there been so much science, and just you need so much creativity, right? And it's not traditional in its traditional sense. So a lot of the stuff that we've done, we've used some of our traditional assets, and they've been really helpful. I think also from just retailer credibility, it's been really helpful to have some of that. But from the stuff that's moved the dial, it's been a combo of that, but a lot of just grassroots creativity. Kudos to my marketing team. So
I find that you could even have the best product in the world right now, but it's so crowded, right? With a lot of similar products that that anything that you can do to bump it up a little bit. Having a big brand around you, having like something like Torstar or the name Torstar. I know that Torstar Digital is separate from Torstar, but it's still it's a powerful brand. Yeah. It kind of gets you through that first hurdle, doesn't it?
Sort of. I think sometimes it does, and sometimes it's like, it's not, in certain instances it does, and in others it's like, how innovative are you if you're an older media company? So I think you use it where it makes sense, and in other areas you make sure people aren't dismissive of it as a result of that, for sure.
A brand like that carries not only a little bit like credibility in the nation, but it also carries a lot of baggage with it, right?
Yeah, that's what or tradition, I would say.
Tradition, that's a better word. Tradition. So what about this concept of reinventing the flyer? We talked just before we started recording about this idea that you're looking at this as a way of as really the future of the flyer. Explain that concept here.
I think it is a very long time, I'll be really honest, before flyers become extinct or irrelevant, right? I do not think that's anytime near, mainly because it's a powerful tool that works, right? It's got guaranteed circulation. Yep. which is huge, right? Like if I'm a retailer, I know that this is going to go to every single household in my region, and I'm able to versionize like all of these different regions with the stores that I have, all that stuff. Very, very hard to displace. And I know that people who come in are coming in because of that flyer. The data could be better, but it's not that bad, actually. That being said, I think the whole notion of where do retailers spend a huge amount of their marketing dollars, it's on that, how do I drive people into store?
Right.
You get them there for me, and I'll take it from there. Thank you very much. I will, walk them through my store. I'll increase their basket size. I'll do all of these great things. And so what we said is like, we want to play in getting them to your store. We want Shopcatch to be the best driver of that. And it's really, it's very real. Like smartphone adoption is very, very high. And I think what you need is to replicate that push model as well as having a pull model in order to be that. So, one of the things that we evolved our model to is having an email push of the product and a push notification product so that we get to choose when we communicate with the consumer as opposed to them choosing when they communicate with us. So I think it's very real. That's what we're trying to do. And the biggest thing was that you can't just take what the old product was and like put it in this new context, right? It's completely different. You need to be mobile first, think what do you want from a mobile device, and then think about how it relates.
I see this all the time, right? I mean, the reason I'm smiling is like, I love hearing this, that, listen, you know what, stop just trying to take an old medium and put it on a mobile device. And I see this on the web as well, where it's like a PDF version, and an enhancement to that PDF version is that, look, if you roll over the ads, it pops up and you can click on it. I'm like, this is not, I mean, it works for print. It's great for print. Like, you know what, Tuesdays for us in Ottawa, it's great because you get the Canadian Tire, a pamphlet or a brochure or a flyer, and what ends up happening is that you've got, I look through it every time, and that's the experience. But I'm not flipping through a PDF with a page curls and turns online. It always astounds me that people do the exact same thing in a mobile device, and they're missing an opportunity that it's incomprehensible that people do this. So if you're doing this, stop. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really true.
So but this is a transition, right? I mean, there's, they group all of these different types of people, millennials and digital savants and all these things. But, I mean, is this, in our lifetime, do you start to see this transition happening?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think even if flyers don't go away, it doesn't mean that this can't gain, significant traction and become a very powerful tool. Like, I think there's value for both. You may want that browsing experience in your home, but you absolutely want to take that content or have that content available to you when you're out ready to shop, right? So it's not even whether it's in my lifetime. Like, I think, maybe I'm like really rosy-eyed or, see the glass half full, but within the next, 18 to 24 months, there will be scale against, if you have a large enough pool of users who want to receive this information in a mobile form, and you have the right kinds of content and the right partners from retail, I really believe it's very, very feasible for this to be a very meaningful business or new behavior from consumers.
I kind of think of it as this way, is that a flyer really is kind of trying to jam a bunch of products in to attract as many people as possible. So I might be interested in one product, you might be interested in another, but combined, we might both go to Canadian Tire as a result of that, right? But what I love about the mobile experience is that it's a very broad, but one-to-one broad feeling, right? It's
absolutely
so tailored, but so broad, right?
Totally.
Different experience for different people.
Yeah, and as that product evolves, you'll start to see a lot more personalization, right? Like if I keep looking at fashion deals, well, that's what's going to come to me first, right? All that kind of stuff. So
now the other side of this is that there's got to be a closure piece to this, right? So you get people to download the application. You got a bunch of great retailers that are pushing the deals out. You drive them in there, but are you also looking at this saying, listen, how do we close the gap for commerce? How do we bring them? How do we go right from a coupon to buying a digital asset or something like that? What's the impact on commerce in general and even mobile commerce? Absolutely.
So, I mean, for us, we originally were going to launch with a mobile commerce platform. like that's what this originally was. So we have the capability, it's there. It's more around working with retailers when they're ready to accept that. Some retailers are absolutely there, and we're very excited to work with those retailers, and others aren't, and so we're okay with that. And then there's a whole bunch of new parties who are, trying to enter and play in that payment space, and we're looking and talking to many of them and very open and interested in partnerships. So we see this as, we want to deliver a great consumer experience, which is about knowing the information, having access to it, having exclusive offers. And if we can be in that payment space or commerce space, great. But we just are also aware that some retailers just aren't there yet.
Yeah. And again, I mean, this is a little bit long-term, right? Right now, you're just trying to get them used to using this kind of stuff and getting them engaged. Okay. I got two more questions.
Sure.
One of them is around how you guys make money. I might as well ask that question. How does Shopcatch generate any revenue as a result of this?
For sure. So as of now, it's an advertising model. So we have some really great products for retailers. Yep. We've got a combination of performance pricing. So, pay on a click basis or a coupon redemption basis even. We have some fixed fee offerings to make sure that you have a guaranteed reach and a weekly product if that's what you're looking for. And we have some phenomenal sponsorship opportunities. I mean, our launch partner was Visa, and they loved it. We worked with them on their Visa Perks program, and they were our big supporter of us and continue to be so. And that was a sponsorship model.
So it's anything that a great mix of revenue opportunities for you guys and payment opportunities.
Yeah, I think the important distinction is it's not commerce or transaction based today. It's advertising based.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's and that stuck well with some of your early customers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the traction is there. I don't care about numbers, but you're starting to see traction, right?
We're absolutely starting to see traction, and we're starting to see traction in Canada, which is like 8
test bed
months behind retail in the U.S. I mean, that's what's exciting to us, and why we're excited to play in the U.S. as well. Yeah. But the interest is absolutely there. The retailers really get it and have been incredibly supportive of the product, and we've seen dollars. So.
How perfect is that? I mean, Canada is like that saying that if you can make it in New York, you can make it everywhere. I said, like, come up to Canada and try to sell your product in Canada first, and if you can do that
to retailers,
to retailers nonetheless. But a lot of companies have, a lot of Canadian companies, a lot of Toronto companies that I've spent some time with, especially, they say, listen, we do a kind of a test launch, a beta launch, and as a Canada launch, because our population is such that it's just around the same amount as the state of California. So we kind of tested in Ottawa, we tested in Canada, and we see how it works, and then we drop down to the States. Is that I mean, that's a real strategy for a lot of companies. But it sounds like, listen, if you get traction here, think about the opportunities. There are retailers that Canadians have never heard of in the States that are bigger than our biggest retailers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we look at it is, for our beta or our just early days of launch, we've seen some really good. We've hit some really good milestones, and the geographical boundaries just don't exist today for a lot of internet-based or mobile-based companies. So we're saying, especially from a consumer adoption model, let's see if we can take this to the U.S. And let's try it, right? Because really the U.S. is 10 times the size of Canada, and retailers are a lot more progressive and have bigger mobile budgets. So I'll be able to tell you very shortly.
Well, I'm going to have you back on to follow up as soon as you launch in the States. But it leads me to my next question, which very well, not on purpose, because I don't know what I'm doing here, but IP, intellectual property, and that concern, because it is a very competitive landscape in this space. Everybody doing something a little bit different that makes them unique. But a lot of it is common ground. A lot of it is common IP. Do you look at protecting the stuff that you're doing, the secret sauce? And if so, like, when do you start looking at that, or have you gone down that path already?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. I think we're living in very interesting times in terms of IP. So we are looking at it, but at the same time, I think action is the best way to solve IP problems.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Action and traction.
Action and traction. That's right. and then you can react to something. So it's action, traction, and reaction when it comes to something.
There you go. Exactly. And you
right here.
Right here.
You know, a lot of companies talk about IP, but it's true. By the time you've protected your IP, this idea could have passed, right? You could have been on the next iteration of it, which could have taken you down a completely different path. So as opposed to where it was maybe 10 or 12 years ago, where IP was what people invested in, now it is about activity, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
So this is all funded on revenue. This is all funded internally through Torstar. This is all something that is that it needs to stand on its own, right?
This is a startup that is funded by Torstar.
Okay.
We are looking at a bunch of new funding opportunities as well as we grow and expand. So very open to conversations if anybody who's watching Untethered TV
knock.
Is interested. And it's a real startup funding structure. So.
Okay. Yeah. And where does it go from here? Like, so, I mean, how long do you take a progressive approach to kind of moving this product along? Is it a threshold for customer numbers before you start to bring in new features? I mean, what are you guys envisioning for the next little while for you guys?
Yeah, as I said, you know, our real focus, we're very, we are milestone funded and very focused on hitting a bunch of key milestones in terms of consumer adoption, revenues, you know, growth in markets, et cetera. So for us, next big things that we're doing are North American expansion, and we have some really great new product features that are coming out that, you know, really focus on the socialization and gamification of the experience. We have some great new products for retailers as well, just listening to what they want around measurement, tracking, a bunch of stuff that they've asked us for. So, you know, pretty busy evolving on all these fronts on, you know, our retail offering, consumer, and growth.
Now, this is my last question.
Yeah.
But every time I sit and I think about what you guys are doing, it's always great, and I could probably spend much more time with this, and we'll save some for the second interview after you've launched in the U.S. Sure. When it comes to numbers, did you have an expectation of the number of retailers that you would bring on and the number of users or consumers you would have download the app? Did you set expectations, or did you have an idea of what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, we absolutely threw out some numbers, and I would say they're never what you think they are, both good and bad. You know, in certain instances, we've, you know, overshot some of our numbers, and others we haven't. Yeah. I think, you know, we're still learning, right? I think we've seen good traction. That's why we are still funded.
That's why we're having this session so late.
That's why we're having a session. And, you know, it really is a milestone-funded company. Like, if we do not hit certain milestones, we rethink continuing. Yeah. But we're on track. We've hit some milestones. But as I said, the one thing that we really wanted to look for is, do we have the right experience? Do we have something that's unique, and are people responding to that? And it's that 75% of everybody who signs up comes back every week. That's the one number that we're most impressed with, and we have a very sizable base in a very short period of time. So
I love it. So how do people get involved with you guys? So whether they're a consumer or they're a retailer, how do we drive them somewhere?
Super, super easy. Just go to shopcatch.com, and on that page, you can either download the app directly from the App Store. You can see our mobile website. You can, if you're interested in partnering with us or working with us, you can actually just send us an email from that website. So just go there, or you can contact me at candice@shopcatch.com.
That's so that's simple. No friction. Just get involved. Give us a call or get in touch with us.
Yeah. And we're looking for partners in many regards. So, you know, people who are interested, retailers, obviously, other likely partners in the mobile space, obviously more consumers. So we're very open to partnership.
Well, this has been great. Candice, I'm going to have you back on once you start to kind of infiltrate the U.S. this great Canadian company infiltrating the U.S. because I love to hear these stories from Canada going down into the States after testing it up here in Canada and making a success of it here. So hopefully I can count on you to come back onto the show.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Well, this has been great. So go to shopcatch.com to find out some more information, to sign up, to download the application. If you're on iTunes, on your iPhone, just listening to this in the car, pull over, just do a search for Shopcatch. You'll find it in the iTunes store. And in the States, you got to wait. But the next time you come up to Canada to spend, your below par US dollar, you just download the application because you'll get some good deals. Yeah. Candice, I really appreciate you doing this. Candice Faktor is the creator of Shopcatch. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing this. You've been very candid, very open. Can't thank you enough for doing this. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
For those of you who are still watching, still listening, wherever you may be, whatever you are doing, however distracted you are while you're listening to this, I really appreciate you doing this each and every time. Love some feedback on this. Reach out at untether@gmail.com, and I respond to every one of those. It might take a little while, but I respond, I promise. But I really appreciate you coming on and listening to the show. And Candice, thank you for doing this.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time on Untether.tv.